Hello, Baritones. My name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. I had a question in the form of a request that came in some time ago about ranges, the transition points for the baritone voices. So I'm going to cover those in this video. In addition, I want to talk about your baritone superpowers. But before I do, thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. I really appreciate it. If you haven't done so yet, I would really appreciate it if you would think about it and then choose to do so. You can subscribe and click the bell so that you know when my new videos come out, which is just about every week, new warm-ups and all kinds of stuff. There's a myriad of other ways to support this channel, all of which are greatly appreciated, many of which are at no cost to you, and those are in the description. Ranges, otherwise talked about in terms of registration events, if you've watched my other videos, or the passaggi, these points of transition. Going from the bottom up in a shorter format. If you're a basso profundo, then it's quite likely that your primo passaggio is around G3 and your secondo passaggio is around C4. That would be the lowest of the low. And if you are a lyric baritone, the highest of the baritone vocalists, then your primo passaggio is at B3 and your secondo passaggio is at E4. The E natural right above middle C. C4 is middle C, although in MIDI nomenclature, C3 is often middle C, just the way that that system is oriented a lot of the times. But the bigger question, I think, is what does all that mean? Well, what it means is that the primo passaggio is the point where you really need to start thinking about how well you are maintaining your airflow. Not that you don't need to maintain it well below the primo passaggio, but it's really going to start to impact your singing if you don't have good engagement, good airflow over the vocal folds as you approach the secondo passaggio. The secondo passaggio, that higher of the two notes that I delineated, is often referred to as the break. And what you choose to do around the break will be greatly impacted by how you're using airflow and what you have done in that area between the lower of the two notes, the primo passaggio, and the break, the secondo passaggio. That area in between the two, which is a perfect fourth, is called the zona di passaggio. If you're going to belt, it's within that range that you really need to make sure that you are increasing breath energy and committing to the thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice, committing to the chest voice, the heavy mechanism. If you are going to make a smooth transition over the secondo passaggio and continue to ascend, this is where you still need to make sure that you are creating good engagement, good subglottic air pressure, but you're also working through the small changes in vowels and small changes in balance between chest voice and head voice, or thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice, chest voice, and cricothyroid dominant singing voice, head voice, in order to facilitate that nice smooth transition so that you can continue to ascend. It is this thing, that right there, that ability to make the smooth transition, which is part of your superpowers. I mentioned I was going to talk about your superpowers. And in a nutshell, what I think of as the baritone superpower, there's kind of two, actually, I think. One, sonority and gravitas. Of the male vocalists, the baritones wield the power, in my humble opinion, in that lower range, the sonority, the lushness, the gravitas that you possess in that area. Call it from like G3 down, going down there, ultimately down there. That range of your voice is a crucial element of your superpower, and you have it. There's no other male vocal or vocal foc that has that kind of lushness in that range of the piano. And when you've really got your vowels aligned, when things are working well so that you have good resonance and good projection, it is hard to imagine a more sonorous, impactful human representation in voice than what you've got going on down there. That, in conjunction with a smooth registration event over your secondo passaggio, and in English, if you can smooth out the transition from your chest voice to your head voice, then you've got nearly as much range as a tenor. So think about that for a second. You've got all that richness in that lovely, lovely, intimate area of the human voice. And you've got an overall tessitura that is nearly the same as a tenor. And in fact, in most popular music selections, assuming, like, let's just say the average popular song for the male vocalist is going to head to about A4, maybe B flat, 4. I know you've got like your Bruno Marses and your Jeff Buckley's that are heading towards C5 and above. But in general, about A4 is what you need to be considered a male tenor in the pop rock realm. And you can cover that space. So you get both. You get all that lushness and you've got the range. So overall tessitura, or overall span of range, I believe is one of the baritone superpowers as well. This sometimes requires some adjustments through the area of the secondo passaggio, through that area between, for example, for the lyric baritone between B3 and E4, you're going to make some different kinds of compromises in order to maintain good phonation. And in some respects, you have to dial down a bit of the baritone-ness of your voice in order to do that. But you get the range and you've got the lush low end, and that makes for an incredibly flexible and compelling human voice to be used in song. And so the overall flexibility, I think, is fantastic and I think is enviable in your voices. Like I said, though, one of the challenges there is that you have to take a step back a little bit of what might be in the nature of the baritone singer in order to facilitate some of that. Though I would argue that as you get more and more accustomed to it and more comfortable with those compromises, they get integrated into your overall tonal palette and become a facet of what it is to be the baritone performer. So there you go. There are your ranges, there are your superpowers, and there are some things to think about that you could think of as challenges to facilitating those things. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments or find me on Twitter. My name is Jeff. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.